But thou, O man of God, flee these things and follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, meekness.
This implies that every believer ought to withdraw from any minister who preaches for gain. Withdraw from any minister who preaches for gain. Don't even make them your friend. Don't watch their TV program. If by mistake you enter a place where they are playing it, ask them to put down the volume. That is affecting your mental health. The word gain was translated from the Greek word prorismos. P-R-O-R-I-S-M-O-S. That's the word gain. P-R-O-R-I-S-M-O-S. Which implies something used to acquire things, which can include money, cars, and houses. So proper scriptural apostolic instruction is that a minister is not to do the work of ministry for gain. For gain. This will also follow that the gospel is not to be preached for the preacher's needs to be met. You're not preaching for your needs to be met. Kenneth E. Hagin, of blessed memory, towards the end of his life, did a conference. And I was privileged to listen to the full conference. It was an exclusive conference. Exclusive. With a few ministers of the gospel that are on the scene today. I won't call names. But it was exclusive. They had the meeting in a closed door and they recorded it. Some of the influential preachers of the gospel in America were in that meeting. In fact, one of them came late. He had to apologize. I heard his voice. Their names, all of you name. And he said to them, I sent for all of you because all of you call me Father. That's why I sent for all of you. And he said, I sent for all of you because some of you don't call me Father, but at least you recognize me as your Father because you teach my messages. He said, I call all of you because during the healing movement, he said, I was there. It was truncated. When ministers will see the healing power of God, then they will stop halfway and raise money. The people will start getting healed. There will be an explosion of healing in the service. They will stop it. Now that people have seen the proof, then they will raise money. He said that is what killed the healing movement. He said I was there to witness it. And he talked about one of the patriarchs of faith who was sick then. You know, one of those names. I don't want to call names. But one of those healing movement person. It's a big name. And he said the guy was dying. He was sick. And he went with his wife to pray for him in the hospital. And as they were climbing up the steps to go in to pray, he shook his head and turned. And he told the wife, let's go. She said, did the Lord tell you he will die? He said, I will tell you in the car. Let's go. They got in the car. He said, the Lord said he is one of the problems to the gospel. So he's going. Before they go to him, the man died. Say the Lord said I shouldn't pray for him. Then he now told him, that thing I saw, I have seen it back in the Pentecostal charismatic movement. See, it has come back. And then he began to talk about, you people have come up with 24-hour miracle. Seed. You have come up with seed given in exchange for blessing. And then he began to talk about all the transactionary gospel. In that meeting. And these pastors had audacity to be challenging him. I listened. One of them stood up and said, yeah, we agree with what you have said, but don't you believe that God can move us to raise money? If God moves us to raise money, will God bless the people that obeyed? And Brother Hagin said, I'm not doubting that God can move you. But don't miss what I have said. It was a sober meeting, 8 hours. I have the recordings. Then when he finished, he now asked one of his sons in ministry to put it in a book. That's the book called Midas Touch. If you read that book, it came from that meeting. Kenneth Hagin, Midas Touch. Go check it. Read it, see what I'm talking about. He said, if that materialistic, transactionary gospel is not checked, that's what will kill the move of God in the coming generations. The transactionary gospel. And then he did a teaching to prove that there's nothing like give to God and be blessed in that book. And these preachers fought that book from coming to limelight. They fought the book. Let me tell you something else they did. As they left that place, they withdrew their support from his ministry. One of the things I believe that got Kenneth Hagin to die at that age was heartbreak. Was heartbreak. Because he saw all his sons that will have carried the legacy of sound gospel corrupted with materialism. It broke his heart. It broke his heart. It broke his heart. Because he could see there will be no future for a ministry that has employed materialism. It has no future. Brother John said, the Lord said to those 7 churches, if you don't repent from this man, I will take away your candle light. When the candle light of a ministry is taken, the ministry has no legacy. That ministry dies. It has no legacy. The materialistic gospel has no legacy. Because the only beneficiary is the man that is in charge. Once he dies, there's no future for that ministry. The only ministry that has a legacy is the ministry of the word of God, preached with pure motives, because the word is settled forever. The word is settled forever. Are we teaching here? Please, if you're hearing, say, I hear you. Yeah. Materialistic gospel is the greatest undoing of the work of God in our time. What about John? Look at John speaking in the same light. 3 John chapter 1 verse 5 to 8. Let's go, PJ. 3 John chapter 1 verse 5 to 8.
Beloved, thou doest faithfully whatsoever thou doest to the brethren and to strangers.
Next verse.
Which have borne witness of thy charity before the church, whom if thou bring forward on their journey after a godly sort, thou shalt do well.
Next verse.
Because that for his name's sake they went forth, taking nothing of the Gentiles.
They went forth taking nothing of the Gentiles. Verse 8.
We therefore ought to receive such, that we might be fellow helpers to the truth.
In writing to Gaius, John's statement in verse 7 should be observed. Taking nothing of the Gentiles. You know what that implies? Number one, that he was speaking of ministers of the gospel who went to Gentile nations, non-Jewish territories. Number two, that Gaius was commended for his support of those ministers. Number three, that the object of their preaching was not gain. It was not for gain. Number four, that they did this to be an example to the church. That's why they did it. Number one, they went to preach to non-Gentiles. Number two, Gaius was commended for supporting those ministers. Number three, the object of their preaching was not gain. Number four, that they did this to be exemplary to the church. When God is in it, he will raise people to support it. Hello? I'm teaching here. When God is in it, he will raise people to support it. You don't have to manipulate people. 2 days ago, I put together the budget for our love feast. Love feast is tomorrow, right? Eh? Are you expecting? Should we have love feast or we should have fasting? How many of you know that part of the church is breaking of bread? Eh? So for us to have a complete service, we must have a breaking of bread. Breaking of bread is love feast, where we eat and fellowship and just demonstrate love to one another. So Mama and I were putting the budget for the love feast of tomorrow, and it ran into some millions. And then Mama said to me, "Honey, how far?" I said, "Very far." She said, "This money has to come out too." I said, "I don't think church has it. What do we do?" She said, "Okay, if church don't have it, then you have to look for it." I said, "Okay, I'll look for it, no problem. Just keep the budget." And then I've just been talking to the Lord about it within the week, and I've been saying, "Lord, that love feast has to be done. How far, Lord? Lord, I have money here, I have money there, but they are owing me here, they are owing me there. Lord, just move things. Let them pay me, and I'll just take care of this love feast without anybody knowing nothing." And that same day I came to the office, and a brother just came from the service that night after service to my office straight. He said, Papa, the Lord feast on Saturday. The Lord just spoke to me. I want to pay a part of it. I want to pay part of the money. How much is it going to cost? How much? No, I didn't talk about it. I didn't mention it. But the Lord moved him. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's how it happens. And then I told him I'll ask them to give me the budget, because me too, I don't even know the total budget yet, because we were negotiating it with the people that were going. Let me see where they arrived at. So yesterday I told him how much the budget was. He said, I pay half of it. And within an hour, he wired those millions, half of that budget. I told Mama, quickly, deposit it with the people. Let them start buying things, because there's no going back. The Lord has already shown that it shall be done. The Lord has already shown. The Lord has already shown that it shall be done. When they have paid 50% of the money, what is remaining? The thing is as good as done. God has mobilized the job. That's how it happens. When we got TVC, I just felt like it was time for us to put the gospel on TVC. And I prayed about it. And I had strong conviction. I told Pastor Gospel. And I said, you guys work out the details and get back to me. He got Pastor Funshaw. They worked out the details. They said, this is what it will cost every 3 months. And I looked. I called the American team. I said, you guys, do you have some money for us? We want to get this thing going. And the American team said, yes, we have that kind of money. I said, send it quickly. They wired it. First 3 months. Second 3 months. The thing is going seamlessly. Seamlessly. No tension. Because God is in it. We got Pop Central. Pastor Gospel emailed me a deal from Pop Central on DSTV, which was going to get millions of people to see what is going on in 30 Days of Glory. 30 Days project. And I said to Pastor Gospel, let me pray about it. But this deal is a very, very good deal. Very good deal. I said, but can we talk to the person and see if we can negotiate it down? Pastor Gospel said, Papa, you will talk, because me, I have negotiated my own to this point. I said, put the person online. When we went online and we discovered the person is in the church of one of my spiritual sons. And then she says, well, I attend this church. I say, and the pastor goes, well, that's Papa's son. She said, yes. And that's why I'm willing to do anything to make sure the program comes live on the channel. So I said, bring it down. Bring it down to this amount. She said, okay. She said, I'll do something about it. And she brought it down further. And the deal was good. And then the money just came for us to pay for it. And we paid for it before we started. We paid for it before we started. In Cameroon, I think I'm on TV 2 hours every day. 2 hours in Cameroon, right? The brethren in Cameroon came together, raised the money, and paid for it. It's running without me thinking.